What's up? I'm Vic Sato, and today we're reviewing the Pantheon Gaia. This is pretty exciting because Jeff sent me this board. He saw my Descent review, and I guess he wanted a piece of that pie, and sent me a Gaia. Before he sent it though, I said, are there terms and conditions to this review? And he said something like no. In short, he said no. So, everything I tell you today is going to be straight from the heart. Okay, so let's start with the specs. This hoe, 37 long, 9.6 wide at the widest, which is like in the middle, and then it's narrower where your feet actually go. And then for the wheelbases are 24.5 to 25.5. So like, pretty legit. For construction, this is maple and fiberglass. It's got maple, maybe 7? I gotta look at 7 plies of maple with 2 layers of fiberglass. But the fiberglass is under the bottom and the top layer, so it's wood like where you touch it, which is pretty cool. It's quite lightweight, which is super nice, especially coming from the Descent. It's noticeably lighter than that. It's like 4.5-ish pounds. It weighs about the same as the Mini Byron did. Now the concave. The concave is my biggest gripe with this board. It's steeper than what I normally skate. So in the front, it's pretty dishy, pretty bowly. I like that a lot, but in the back, as the board tapers, the concave stays at the same height. So where it's very comfortable and spread out up here, it feels a lot more cramped and you can really feel it in the back. Like especially on my toe side rail, I can feel how my toe side is like up. Yeah. Then it's got these 2 drops on, well, 2 drops total. It's got 2 drops. Fuck. It's got drops. They're 0.2 inches tall, so they're 0.5 centimeter deep. They feel good. I put my foot kind of like inside the drop here, and if I stood wider, I would put my foot against this, but I don't, because I don't stand very wide on boards. So the drop is like pretty much all the way to the wheelbase. The effective standing platform is probably just around 23 inches if you max it out. With the concave being said that I find it steep where I stand, it is noticeably less steep if you are in this pocket with the drop. So that is nice for if you have that wider stance, but I am like in here and feeling it being very steep. It does also have little flush mounts. They're not super big. They're definitely just like enough. But yeah, they're not huge. They just do the job. It's really neat that the graphic is printed after the flush mounts are cut. So the flush mounts actually still have graphic in them, which I can't think of another board that has that, which is really cool. The graphic on it is super nice. It's pretty clean. When I pulled it out of the box, my girlfriend said that when I'm done with it, we have to hang it up on the wall, which is not what she would normally say. Normally that's like a me thing to say, and she just agrees. But yeah. For flex, it does have a little bit of give to it. It's not like super noticeable. It's only noticeable when I go back to my carbon board. Then I'm like, oh yeah, this is what real stiffness feels like. But when I'm riding this, I'm not like worried about it flexing. So that's pretty much a win. The kicktail is all right. It's a little short is what I find compared to my Descent board, which has like, I measured it because I felt like it was so funky. The Descent is like 6 inches, where this is like 5.25 from the bolts. And what I find that does is it takes more work to get it down, and when the tail is hitting the ground, the board is more vertical. It's like fine, it's manageable, but it is like not quite as good as some other kicktail boards. It's better than the Mini Byron kicktail by a lot, because this is still like an appropriate longboard kick. A pretty sweet thing about this board, but I'm not sure how sweet it actually is that it comes gripped. It comes with what I think is Rome grip, 36 grit, It's not as aggressive as like Vicious or like Hardcore, and definitely not Locked On. I did not feel very safe with it for toe sides, so I skated it once and put a Locked On patch, which yeah, like I can rub on this and it's like, yeah, it could be better. It's nice for like the idea of having a stock grip board. It's nice for that aspect, but if you're like a little more serious or picky about your gear, you're probably gonna want to regrip it. Another cool thing, I do like the shape of this a lot. The shape is quite nice. The description says it's a vibe, like Brandon Desjardins longboarding. It's a vibe. But yeah, it's a pretty dope shape. Everyone in my scene keeps telling me it's got big pintail vibes, which it kind of does. Like, I'm about to say something kind of hurtful. This is kind of a Zoomies ass shape. Like, I could find this shape in a mall. Next up, I do like the rail profile. So this board has drops and like wheel wells, but the rail is still perfectly straight, which is very interesting because that doesn't just happen on its own. Like, Jeff definitely put a lot of work into making this rail super clean, which is very neat. It's like this is a very well thought out board. I will say that. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like overall, this is a super awesome board. It's just I have tasted perfection in, like the board I was riding previously is the perfect board for me. Like, I like the flat concave, I like the longer kicktail, I like the shorter wheelbase, but there's nothing wrong with this board, if you get what I'm saying. Like, what I described, having steeper concave, isn't bad. It's just not quite what I like. So for that, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 8, especially for the price point. It comes in at 150 US, which is like pretty competitive, I'm pretty sure. What's a land yachts board worth these days? Oh yeah, this land yachts board is 200 US. Yeah, solid 7 out of 8 for this, now that we've accounted for price. Like, it's an awesome board for the price, perfect construction for the price point. It's probably one of the best boards, like best top mount single kicks you can get. Mini daisies don't exist, nothing from Sector 9 exists. There's that lanyards board that's expensive, but I would be willing to try it. And the Descent, they don't make that one anymore either. Oh, and there's the Rain board, which is smaller than this. So if you're looking for something that like brings you back to your heritage daisy style days, this is a super awesome option. I've got it set up with 140 millimeter trucks with green kebos. If you were setting it up with snakes, you could go like 165s, but it rail matches really nicely with the 140s. And yeah, 7 out of 8. Concave's a little steep for me. Other than that, it's a very solid board.
Right now, drop in.